Hey, you guys. So, for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Sean and I own BodyFit. The point of this video really is I've had more and more reach outs as this week has gone by in regards to the changes over at Dream Body. And I had a conversation in particular just yesterday with a couple people who were training at Dream Body, and they just came in to talk about what training options might be available in moving forward if they were to transition over to us. And as we went through that conversation, I noticed some things that I wanted to bring up in this video to reach out to you guys, because I think there's some of you out there that are turning away or walking away from a training option or a coaching option because there were either some pieces missing or there was something not communicated there. And this is not a blame video or a pointing of the fingers video. This is just something that I've observed, and I wanted to reach out to you guys. This is something that I've talked with Chris about at length. And again, I just wanted to reach out and go over a few things, and maybe you can decide whether or not moving forward with this type of training option would make sense for you. So the whole hybrid coaching topic seems to be a fairly controversial one, at least over at Dream Body. And again, I think that's mainly due to either miscommunication or just some things missing in the process. And I say that because after I went through discussing the process with these two people yesterday of how the whole timeline and lifeline looks of hybrid coaching, what it's meant for, what it's supposed to do, they had a completely different outlook on what it was to them, which again, this was a big light bulb for me, because it means if these are two people that felt the same way in a 15-minute conversation I just had with them, there's got to be more people out there that maybe don't have all the pieces. And if I just took a little bit of time to talk about this stuff, it might steer them in the right direction. And so again, that's the point of this. And I'm going to try to keep this video super short for you guys, or at least as short as I can. And I apologize if I jump all over the place. This isn't scripted. I just wanted to turn on the camera and address these things because, again, I got into this industry to help people. And I implemented the hybrid coaching program because I took my one-on-one consultation service that I do with my own personal clientele, and I wanted to extend my reach. How can I help more people with something that I know works so extremely well? And that's why we moved forward with it. That's why Chris started to move forward with it. But again, I think that it's something that comes a little bit easier to me just because I've practiced it for the last 10 or 12 years. And so here's what I want you guys to think about, or at least consider, when it comes to what you choose to do in moving forward. Because if you choose not to come over, that totally get it. That's not what this is about. This is more about considering what the best option for you might be depending on what your goals are. I hope that makes sense. And so with the hybrid coaching, the purpose of this program, if you are a person that is trying to go from A to Z, so in other words, you're at a spot right now and you have a specific goal that you're trying to achieve. You're not just coming in, for example, to your workouts because you're pretty much happy with your fitness level. You just want to maintain it, or you just want to focus on the workouts. You don't have any specific goal you're trying to achieve. If you are the other person where you're trying to get from A to Z, I'm telling you, the hybrid coaching program is the way to go. And I know to a lot of you, that's not going to sound very appealing, but again, I think that there's some pieces that we're missing. And so the purpose of this, the reason why I built it, is to get you to where you want to go in a finite period of time and then be able to keep it without us. It's not intended to be something like a 6-week challenge or a 12-week challenge or anything like that. It's supposed to be very tailored to the person, particularly in the nutrition area, but the experience, the whole experience itself, should be tailored to the person. And then there should be a finite period of time that we're doing this process so that you don't have to ever do it again. So again, if you're a person that is trying to go from A to Z, I strongly encourage you to look at this again as a training option. And I will say this, hybrid foundations is not one that I would want any of you to do. The purpose of hybrid foundations was more meant for people who hadn't done anything in a long, long time, and they just need to kind of get a kickstart again. So if that was you, then it's a great kickstart. It's something that you could use for maybe the first 2 months, but then going into protocol, which is the second phase, is really where like 99% of the people should be, because it allows us to take you through all of the phases of nutrition that I built out. Right now in foundations, you're just going to go phases 0 through 2. That's it. And that's where you stop. And the problem with that is you've done the beginning part, which is pattern work, but then you didn't do anything else as it relates to implementing macros, exchanges, going through the recovery phase. So there's a lot of pieces that are missing if you don't go to protocol and you only do foundations. And again, foundations is more meant for those just trying to get a kickstart initially, and then you go up to protocol, or you've already reached your goal, you want some form of accountability still, and then you go back to foundations after you've gone through all the phases of nutrition, hit your ultimate goal, and been able to keep it. That was the purpose of foundations. And so while it's certainly possible to get changes, body composition changes, and all that fun stuff with foundations, it just isn't going to have any longevity for getting you from A to Z. It gets you from like A to D, if that makes sense. And so with protocol, that's the most productive one, in my opinion. It's meant to take you through every single phase, and it's meant to do it in a certain amount of time. So something that we implemented was what we call year of change, and it may be something that you guys implemented over there. But with the year change, basically what that says is, I knew that people who did 6-week challenges or 8-week transformation or a 12-week transformation, they all had something in common as it related to group training. And that was, they made really, really big changes in those timelines. And then there was a steep fall off. And a big part of that reason is there's an end date. There's a certain period of time that you have to commit to something, and then you know that you can let your foot off the gas pedal. The problem with that is with those particular programs, you're not supposed to let your foot off the gas pedal. That's kind of the beginning. That's the takeoff. And so I wanted to apply that same thing to the coaching. So we created the year of change, which says 99% of you that come in, I can get you to where you need to be, and then have it be maintainable within a year. And if I can't do that, and you followed all the things that we wrote for you and had you do throughout that whole year, and you still haven't reached that mark, then we'll train you for free until you do. And I don't like training people for free. So obviously there's a high motivation for us to make sure we get exactly that in 1 year. So if you look at it, of all the time that most likely most of you have spent with going up and down and getting a little bit of change and then kind of slipping backwards, or getting a lot of change and then slipping backwards, whatever it might be, what if you compressed everything into a year and you knew, hey, if I just give whatever this thing is a year, I won't ever have to do it again, assuming I don't go completely off the rails and neglect my health completely at the end of that 12 months. That makes it much easier to digest. And that's the whole purpose of the hybrid program. Is there will be phases that are more boring. I'm not going to lie. There's going to be phases where it's like, man, this is really restrictive. I don't really like this. But that's going to be a part of going through certain steps, certain pattern work, certain phases that will get you build on to the next one and then get you closer to that end goal. And remember, it's all for this amount of time, as long as you stay consistent. Something that I tell my clients all the time is, you are directly in charge of how much you prolong your suffering. So if there's a phase that we don't really like, and it's like, man, this isn't for me because I don't like this and this just doesn't work. You have to remember it's for this much time. So in that moment, it's important to remember why you're doing what you're doing. And if we can remember it's for a small period of time, you're not going to be in that phase forever. You're not going to have that structure forever. It's not going to be done the same way forever. But if you do it well, do it diligently, then by the time we get to the other side, the end product will be 10, 20, 30 times worth the suffering that you felt in going through the boring or the less fun phases. Hopefully that all makes sense. And so again, the purpose of this is I've structured it to where we can do it. It just takes your input. It takes your consistency. You have to have what I call the 3 C's. This is something I ask of all my clients. So you have to have consistency, be willing to communicate, and be coachable. If you can have those 3 things, there's not been a time that we haven't gotten someone to where they wanted to go. In any case, the only exceptions would be those who had an underlying health condition that we weren't aware of, and it took them a little bit longer because we ended up discovering that they had issues that we had to then work around in order to get them to where they wanted to go. So even those were great success stories. It just took longer because they didn't realize there were things there that needed to be worked around. So again, the point of this is I hope you guys see that hybrid is not intended to be a challenge, if that's the perception. And I kind of got the feeling that's what it was, or at least perceived by maybe some of the people over at DreamBody. And that's not what it is. It's the end game. It will get you to the end of what you're trying to do. If you're trying to improve your body composition, performance, whatever it might be, all of that is directly tied to your nutrition, specifically body composition changes and the ability to have them be sustainable. This is what I use. These are the systems that I've spent the last 12, 15 years refining to make the process better for the clients and more efficient. And like I said, it definitely requires effort on your part. It doesn't come without its own price, if you want to call it that. So if that sounds like kind of what you're looking for, where yes, I want to go from here to here, but I don't want to do this forever. And I'm not really into I don't want someone, beat me over the head because I'm not following things the way that I'm supposed to. That's not the purpose of this. The purpose of the accountability portion should be the coach is there to address the problems that you're running into and provide solutions. Like, okay, these are the things you keep running into. What's the workaround that we can do? It's not to tell you that you're doing things wrong when you know you're doing things wrong. It's to provide answers, to provide solutions so that we can get there quicker, get you what you need, show you how to keep it, and then you can keep it. That's the whole thing. And then it becomes much more fun to go about if you wanted to do, let's say a lot of people I know like doing the group training or small group training, which is like 1-on-4. That stuff can be more of the center focus once you've achieved your goal, because it's like icing on the cake. If you still want to do things, but you should do something to maintain your health, overall activity level, then that's great. That becomes the centerpiece. But until then, my suggestion would be the centerpiece should be your nutrition and being accountable to that. I'm not saying throw the activity out the window. I'm just saying right now, there's many people that have put activity on such a high pedestal that the stuff that really matters in order to get us to where we say we want to go is not being nurtured like it should. Hopefully that makes sense. So again, if this sounds like something that you're looking for, what I'm going to be doing through the month of October is I'm going to offer free consults for any of you guys who are at DreamBody who want to come in and discuss this process a little bit further. And during that consult, what we're going to do is go over specifically what you're trying to achieve, where you've been, again, where you're trying to go, and then I can give a specific uh, estimate of where I think when I think we can get there, what's realistic based on factors XYZ. So basically the whole point of the consult will be to go over, what do you need? How can we help? Does this option make the most sense? And if it does, cool, let's get started and let's get those changes that you've been wanting and actually keep them. So for any of you out there that want to look at doing this, I'm going to make sure that we have an Acuity link that gets sent out to you and you can book on there. I'll open a certain number of slots per day. It probably won't be a lot because I have clients that I have to work with, but I'm going to open up a few spots where, for those of you who really want to look at doing this, we can set up a time to talk and discuss your goals more specifically. And we can go over a little bit more in detail of how it is this is supposed to work on an individual basis and how the experience is supposed to be tailored to you. Also, something we're going to be doing is I'm going to honor the same promotion that I did for my clients over at BodyFit, which is anyone who does hybrid coaching with us, we will be offering, basically, I'm going to pay for your group training through the rest of the year. So if you do one of the hybrid coaching options, particularly protocol, then we will have you come in, you can do group training, and I'm going to pay for that for the rest of the year. If those of you who don't want to do hybrid, you're just completely against it and you just want a place to work out, again, we are going to be offering group training through the end of the year. We're going to offer 20% off to you guys if all you want to do is group training. But I strongly encourage you, if any of you are watching this still, I don't know how far along into this video I am, but if you're still watching this, I implore you, if you have things that you're trying to achieve, especially as it relates to health or body composition, set up a time to meet with me so we can discuss how the process of hybrid would look for you. And that's pretty much it, you guys. If we don't see you, I do wish you the best. I hope you find what you're looking for. Otherwise, the rest of you, hopefully, we will be talking to you soon.